Today I want to cover a simple but powerful mindset shift that's going to change the way you cold call and actually make this process much easier on yourself. It's going to sound obvious when I first say it, but once I go through it, it's going to start to fully click for you. So first, what is the objective when we pick up the phone to call someone? I think we can all agree it's to book meetings, set appointments, and we're trying to do as many of those as possible and schedule time on people's calendars. But the key is that last part of the sentence, schedule time. The key mindset shift is that we are selling time on these cold calls, not our product or our service. That might sound obvious to people, but most people's cold call scripts and talk tracks that I hear and that I used when I started out revolved around selling my product, my service, asking them questions about what they're currently using, how they like that, and how I could potentially help. And what I'm saying is that is not necessary on the cold call and is actually hurting your results. My argument is that all of that is better to save for a discovery call, and I prefer to keep the cold call short and sweet and sell that it's worth time to discuss all that on a discovery call. Because picture the scene. We're calling someone, interrupting their workday, and they're trying to rip through some spreadsheet probably, doing it, whatever their full-time job is, trying to get that spreadsheet done by 12 so that they have enough time to do whatever else they have to do in the afternoon so that they can get home on time. When would you rather be talking to them about your product, your service, how you could potentially help them, their organization, or their company? Would you rather be doing it on that off-the-cuff cold call when they're in the middle of their workday, or would you rather be doing it when you have agreed upon time set aside and you can properly prepare? Me, I would rather be doing it on a discovery call. So I'm almost pushing to keep these calls short. I don't like cold calls that go 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because I want to be doing that on a discovery call, which is what I consider my turf. So the key mindset shift is that we're selling time, and you want to be thinking of prospecting and discovery as almost two entirely separate activities. The goal of prospecting is to give off just enough value with that value statement I preach to convince them that it's worth time at a later date to continue the discussion. Then on the discovery call is where we do all that good stuff where we ask questions, probe, quantify, build a business case. But this should actually be a relief to you because the goal of a cold call is merely to sell time. You don't need to sell your product or service off the cuff to every person that you talk to. So simplify your objective. We're here to sell time, and that should emanate in every part of the cold call. So even when you get an objection like, hey, we already work with a competitor, rather than trying to say, oh, and how's that going for you? What would you rate that on a scale of 1 to 10? And have you been considering other initiatives or moving off that current vendor? Instead of doing all that, just tell them, got it. Yeah, that's actually why I was reaching out. We work with X competitor all the time. This is more just to get introduced and aligned going forward. If there's ever a fit, we can move ahead, but I think it at least makes sense to get aligned for the year, even if it's just 15 minutes. So does Wednesday work for you? The beauty of that objection handling tactic is that I'm selling time there. I'm not saying, hey, my product or service is better than your product, the one you're currently using, because that is a hard sell on a cold call to convince them of that out of the blue in the middle of their workday. What's much easier is to convince them, hey, I get you're on a competitor. Hey, I get that you're not interested. Hey, I get that there's no bandwidth right now. It still makes sense to get introduced. And then once we're on that call, then we can be prepared to talk about a business case, quantifying, probing, all that good stuff. So that's the key mindset shift. Simplify your cold calls, make a value statement, tell them who you are, why you're calling, what you want, and say that you'd rather continue this discussion at a later date when neither of you are busy. So hopefully that helps. Simplify the objective of your cold calls. It's a key mindset shift that really changed my results for the better once I fully understood it and incorporated it into my value statements and the way I handled objections. And hopefully it yields the same results for you. So good luck on the cold calls this week, and I'll see you on the next one.